Hi and good evening, everyone. My name is Albert, and this is VlogsBoutNothin. Thank you very much for taking the time out of your night to join me. I really appreciate it. So, I want to offer some commentary on the video, link in the description below. As the video is posted, I can assure you, because that's what the content is the response or the commentary that I'd like to provide to the video, and the link in the description below, so it'll be definitely uploaded. I understand that there are probably several videos where I've said link in the description below, but I've actually been kind of busy, so it's kind of hard to go into my phone every time and manually copy and paste everything that I'm talking about. So I often try to describe it in a way that if you really wanted to, you could, and then I go back and I put links in the description. This is true. When I notice it, I do, and so it's something I think about all the time. Regardless, I want to talk about this documentary on sneakers and like the rise and fall of sneakerheads and collecting and stuff. And so I think I love sneakers. Sneakers have been like a big part of my life ever since I was little, a young boy. I mean, legit. I've identified as an athlete my whole life. I started playing, like t-ball when I was like 4 or 5, and then baseball and basketball and every other sport. So I enjoy sports, but in that time, as a millennial, as a 90s baby, I grow up with the mass marketing and first successful campaigns of your first Jordans, your first gen Jordans, like the OGs. Man, I had the honor and privilege of wearing so many cool shoes throughout my life. I'm happy. I'm thankful. I'm a happy guy. I thank you to the universe for that, to me for a lot of buying those shoes, and to my parents for buying a few of those pairs, especially when I was younger. Most deaf, absolutely. And so yeah, I like sneakers. It's a whole vibe. It's a whole culture. Again, I'm 36 years old, so yeah, basically we're responsible for pioneering the not resell like sort of tradition, but like the idea that sneakers like are cool. I mean, somebody was bound to do it. I mean, it makes you wonder, right? Like people didn't really think of style, I guess, or something in the 80s or 90s, or not a lot of people had access to it, or everybody was just wearing white tennies they bought from department stores. I mean, I'm not sure, but where there's room for business and room for entrepreneurship, then I definitely think that's a good thing about being in a free market, and one of the very few good things about capitalism, in that it's just a natural sort of incentive. And yeah, it was a good time in the 90s. Jordan single-handedly created an entire culture of collecting and revering, and in some cases just absolutely grailing some of these shoes, and not just because of obviously like what they are, but that's really cool too, because that's why they resell for a lot. But also, wait, where you were when you bought them, who you bought them from, where you wore them, how long you've had them, how you keep them in good condition, are there any creases, there's a lot, are there any stars missing, there's like star count, on the AF ones, and stuff like that. I like mids myself with the strap. I prefer mids over low tops and high tops. I just fell in love with mids when I was younger, and I have had some of the dopest mid Air Force Ones that you could ever possibly imagine. I was at some of the first drops of the AF ones when they were first popular in the early 2000s, before they were popular, and then they were popular. It was like they were a cool shoe, and then Air Force Ones dropped by Nelly, and that sort of made it. It was just about it. That was the time people were buying Air Force Ones all the time. It's still one of the best selling shoes every single year, is the classic low top on the AFs, but on the AF ones. But I mean, I don't know. Again, I'm more of a mid top guy myself. I love shoes. I love sneakers. Again, I like them more because of their um, providence. I think that's what it is. I think it's the history behind them, and so I like my sneakers. I think I've said that publicly, but there's a really cool documentary and it talks all about the sneaker culture and the kind of culture that is now like exists. It's kind of like a bubble that popped, and it's not as popular as it was just a few years ago. But as with anything, sneakers have become an asset, a tradable one. There are websites that sell out individual ownership rights to really really valuable shoes that are then kept in really like high secure vaults and stuff just to be archived and saved, and then maybe at a later point be sold off to generate funds and so forth. So yeah, I think again that all that stuff is really really cool. um, I am going to be honest, I just completely forgot all of what we were talking about. And that's crazy because I know we were talking about cool stuff. So I'm just, instead of trying to remember what we were talking about, which is something that happens on Vlogs About Nothing, I have nothing. Nothing. It's been a really busy day. I can't even read my handwriting, if we're being honest here. And sneakers are cool, and link in the description below because I did remember it. But I don't think we can come up with 3 more minutes of content, right? So when I say we, though, I want to be clear that I was okay. So this morning at 6 minutes and 30 something seconds. Okay, so this morning I was sleeping. It was more like noon or something, for being honest. I was sleeping, right? And I hear screaming right outside, and so I'm like, "Holy potatoes! What the macaroni?" And so I go outside. I open the door and I see our neighbor, and she's like screaming, and she's like, "Oh, there's like a salamander or something." And I'm thinking to myself, after I think that salamander's not a fish, because for some reason every time somebody says salamander, I think fish. I don't know why. I'm from the desert. Anyways, she says salamander, so I'm like, oh, like a lizard thing, a little shiny little lizard thing, a gecko, a lizard, a chameleon, I don't know, a bearded dragon. Currently, I have inherited ownership over I think it's a little lizard, but like it's a real like a little lizard. He's just barely like a baby, and again, I found him because my neighbor was freaking out because I don't know how she saw him, or if she was, if like little Charles was in her house or in her apartment or something, and then like he went outside. I don't know, but I ended up getting him and put him in like one of my little sneaker boxes that I have, and put paper towels. Did like researched everything on how to set up their little temporary environment. I went over to Petco, and you can buy like hordes of crickets for pennies. So I did buy some crickets, for like 80 cents. I bought a bunch of crickets. A bunch of crickets for 80 cents. That's a good deal. I might start eating crickets. I don't know. I have eaten crickets. They're actually pretty good. But and if they're that cheap, then man. Anyways, got some crickets, brought him back, and now I have a little buddy. I've named him Charles. I've named him Charles because I don't know if it's a boy or a girl, and I just know that the little animal's name, the little reptile's name is Charles. I named him Charles after this show in the 80s that's called Charles in Charge that I've never seen. I just always see people like making fun of it, and there's this one part in this show called Superstore where Jonah and Amy are in this like dispute, and Amy loses, and she's got to get on the microphone of the store, and she says Charles is in charge or something. Charlie, I don't. It's just funny, and it reminded me of that. And then I looked it up one time, and it was a show. And then I asked my roommate about it, and he heard about it, and then I was like, "That's cool." So yeah, his name is Charles. Charles in charge is the little lizard's name. So I'm really hoping that he's gonna survive and like make it. He's just a little lizard, and I don't know. I've always dreamt of owning a lizard like that I found. I've been looking for 36 years for this. This moment has taken 36 years of my life to come true. But again, dreams come true. So I got to remind myself, even that 6-year-old dream I had of being able to befriend a lizard and give it an environment and raise it from a baby is now happening. It's insane. So I have company. It's awesome. I like, there's this whole little ecosystem set up for him. He's got natural foliage. I went out and got him some leaves and stuff. So he's got like this whole little cool setup. I hope he's comfortable. That's honestly so. We went from talking about sneakers to Charles. I'm have to put that in the video title. But I hope that you guys have a really good night. I know that there's a lot of new viewers, a lot of new subs. They trickle in. There's over 500 videos on the channel now. I am so freaking pumped about that. You have no idea. I don't feel like such a loser now. If I got hit by a bus tomorrow, at least I could say that I did this. It's a scary thing to say. I hope I don't get hit by a bus tomorrow. Holy potatoes. Anyways, I hope that you guys have a really good night. Stay safe. And, if this is something that you like and you're not already a sub, yeah, please consider just tapping that subscriber button, because it does help the channel out a bunch. And I know that you might not watch all 4 videos every single day, or any in a few days, but if you can get around to watching 1 or 2 every once in a while, it's worth hitting the subscribe button. So I hope you guys have a really good night. All right, bye.